Hello, agents. I'm Mariah. I'm the Director of Agent Relations at Agents Invest. Today we have Kelly Kellett from Clarksville, Tennessee. She is the owner of Blue Cord Realty, a full-service real estate company out there. She is also our highest grossing agent referral partner with Agents Invest. Welcome, Kelly.
Hey, Mariah, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous.
All right. Well, let's jump in. How did you get started in real estate?
A long time ago when the dinosaurs were on the earth. So it's been about,
Not
gosh,
quite.
next year will be 30 years.
Oh, wow.
I know. And so it started, I have my master's in social work and was a counselor. And we moved to Nashville. And the agent who helped us purchase our home was like, you should sell real estate. And I happened to be at that point in my career. I'd been doing it about 11 or 12 years, and I've been bouncing back between marriage counseling and working with abused children and housing for seniors and all of that. And when we came here, I was actually working as a troubleshooter for Head Start, and I was burnt out. So 11 years in social work is like a million years in my, I mean, it's like dog life, right? And um, my agent, Mike Groves, just happened to catch me at the right time. And he was explaining to me about how real estate is like counseling, except the cool part is that you deal with them, you get to know them, you help them with their problems, you help them overcome, but it's not like social work or psychology where you have to find a safe house or like a major thing. And so I shadowed him and thought, boy, this is really cool. I mean, every day it's different. And although you're dealing with people and their troubles and their issues, um, nothing is stressful about it. And I know that sounds really weird, but it's like there's nothing, no one's going to die if they don't get a house or something. And so the way that I looked at real estate was a little different in that it was a fun thing. It was a way to create wealth. It was a way to create a life as opposed to what I had come from. So that's how I got started. So that was in 1990. Got here in 92. Got my license on Valentine's Day of 1993, and been off and running ever since.
Yeah, we really are the problem solvers,
Yes.
us
Yeah.
realtors. Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great connection. It's always interesting to me how people kind of jump in or pivot. So many of us, we're doing something originally and then we pivoted into this industry.
Yeah, although I have to tell you, now that I'm old and settled and whatever, what I'm seeing is that like back when I came in, no one ever said, when I grow up, I want to be a real estate agent. I want to be in investments. I want to do this. This was something that was kind of like 30 years ago, it was predominantly housewives that
Mm,
that had a second income type deal. And none of us went to school for this. None of us said, when I grow up, I want to be a realtor, right?
right.
But I'm seeing now in my business here that there are actually people in high school, like I go to the high schools and talk, and there's actually kids that come out of high school that say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a realtor. And that is the coolest thing to me. I mean, it's almost like the career itself is actually being validated, and we're moving away from the, no offense to anybody listening, the used car salesman thing, and now it's actually starting to be like a real career where people are actually wanting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think so many people as well now have really latched on to being an entrepreneur, and that really goes hand in hand with us being investors and real estate agents. It's all encompassing. But I remember one of my younger friends, actually, when she was in college, she told me that they were teaching, classes and courses on being an entrepreneur, and I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's even different from when I was in college. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fantastic.
It's really different now, and
Yeah,
you have the little kids that have
yeah,
their little briefcases, and they're like, when I grow up, I'm going to be a businesswoman. I'm going to be like you or whatever. And we just didn't have that. when I was growing up, because a lot of, old age here, but, a lot of the women really, this was like a secondary career. It wasn't, you didn't support your family with this sort of thing. And now real estate is the way to make money. I mean, um, it's a way, it's an alternative to Social Security. It's an alternative to, um, to IRAs. It's an alternative to everything. And so,
Mhm.
I feel like real estate is really the one thing you can count on. So no matter what.
Well,
So,
that's wonderful. So tell us how you met Jennifer and kind of got involved with Agents Invest.
so I'm not from the South originally. I'm from California originally, Carmel. And Carmel is very expensive. It was back in the 80s and 90s. It was still very expensive. Our first house was a little like 760 square foot on something called Spaghetti Hill in Monterey. And if I stood on a chair and I looked out over the window, I could see a little smidgen of blue. So we had an ocean view. And when we opened up the window, we could hear the seals making noises and clapping. So because you could hear the seals and because you had this itty bitty little bit of blue, right? It was very expensive. So I think it was like $360,000 back in the late 80s for a 720 square foot, like ate up horrible house. And so we bought our house, and things were just very, it was like when we were growing up, that was one of the things that you did. So you got married, you bought a house, you had children, picket fence, dog, that sort of thing. So we bought our house and ended up moving here. And when we got here, I was absolutely flabbergasted. So when we went to go look for our house, a 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1 car garage, little Cape Cod, and it would be about 1,100 square feet, was like $48,000. And I'm like, darn, let's buy 100. And we did. and
That's
so,
amazing.
I just couldn't believe it. And I saw a lot of similarities here between California, the West Coast. And so we had Nashville and we had Clarksville, and there's this space. And it reminded me of San Francisco and Monterey. So there's San Jose there and Redwood City. And now when you leave San Francisco, until you get like past Gilroy, it's one
Mhm.
big blob. I mean, you can't tell where one city ends and another begins. And so when we moved here, I'm like, someday it's going to be this way. I mean, we just got to wait. And I didn't realize that Southern time was just one hair faster than like Hispanic time type deal. So it's taken 30 years, but we're here now. And so, I expected it to be 10 years, but it's taken 30 years. And now it's starting to build up, and the things that I thought were going to happen actually now are starting to happen. When I moved here, I wasn't kidding. So when I found out that houses were like 40,000, 45,000, 120,000 for like 2,500 square feet, I mean, it was just ridiculous. um,
Amazing.
I was like, I'm buying it. I'm buying everything that I can, everything that we could get our hands on, we did. And so um, I became the queen of creative financing. If there it was, don't tell me how I can't do it. Tell me how we can get this done, is how it went.
Mhm.
And so if there was a house you want to sell, I want to buy, I don't have any money, how can we make this work type deal. And so we began to just purchase everything. So 850 doors later, we're set, and I'm selling real estate as well. And I realized that the only way that I could do everything. And so, Bill and I, we have 5 children. We have a really full life. And the only way that I could manage 850 units and I could have kids and family and everything is to um, rearrange my real estate. And so I began to transition before it was cool from residential to or investor
Mhm.
agent. And that's how Jennifer found me. So I don't even know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years, it's been a really long time. I get a call and Jennifer is on her way to Europe. and she calls me and we begin to talk and we just hit it off. And I had just sold a company and I was kind of in semi-retirement. And we began to talk and I began to sell, to the investors for Agent Invest.
Mhm.
And Jennifer and I struck up a friendship. We kind of have the same values and that people are really important to us, and making sure that you get what you think you're getting type deal.
Yeah.
Integrity, I guess, so Jennifer and I have been, I guess Blue Cord Realty came about because of Jennifer. So I had a really small company previously. Jennifer encouraged me to reopen a large company, to open up property management, because quite frankly, there's lots of things that I don't do well, but the one thing that we do really well is property management. And so she encouraged us to do property management, to open back up, so that way, people would continue to purchase here. And there we are.
Yeah, property management, takes a special person. It takes very people oriented, very like problem solving again, and with your background, I definitely see how you are so successful in property management as well, Kelly.
Yeah, we really enjoy it. And the thing about property management is it's almost like the redheaded stepchild. You have to have it, right? You have to, doesn't matter how good of a deal that you get. If you can't make it work, then the deal is worthless. So, I mean, you could get a house for free, right? But if somebody puts somebody in there and they trash it, and
Mhm.
they're not collecting rent, and it could be the best deal in the world, and without good property management, it's useless. It's not worth anything. And so, um, again, we were doing property management when property management wasn't cool. And it did come about, honestly, from us, from our experiences. So, we had our 850 units. I had a full blown, business selling to investors. We were doing probably, and this is like in the 80s. So we're doing 10, 15, 20 million a year, which was a lot back then.
It's a lot
And
now.
so
850
not so much.
units is not small.
Well, but I mean, in general, like selling we were doing about, the 20 million, 25 million a year
Yeah,
back in the 80s, selling to investors. And
that's
so
incredible.
we had this 850 units, and it's like, okay, how are we going to manage those? So in the beginning, it was like, I'm just going to put them out. So I'm going to divide them up into 8 different groups, and I'm going to give this person some, and this person some, and this person some. And over the course of the years, it was like, yeah, I'm taking those from you. I'm going to put them over here. And so it ended up being where we just did not have the best experience.
Mm.
And so over the course of time, I began to make a list of like what I would want someone to do for me. If I was an investor, just kidding, but if I was an investor, what do I want? What kind of communication, what kind of paperwork is important to me? What do I need type deal? And so we began to put together this leases and property management agreements and the things based on what we needed as investors. And it worked. And so I think I opened up my first property management company. It was called FRP Properties. And um, and it was we went from our 850, which is, I just opened it up because we had some issues. And if you go back to the old stuff, if somebody wants to look it up, you can get the whole deal about why we opened up something. And so, but we opened up something, and we went from our 850 to about 2,300 properties in probably less than a year. And it was like, oh my God. And so it just blew up. And that's what's happened here. So we've been, because of we're not a franchise, so we're easy to get along with, and we're able to kind of swerve off the lane. So if something isn't working, it's like I don't have to call, you know, I'll just say Keller Williams corporate to ask them, hey, could I do this type deal? We
Yeah.
just are like, this isn't working. We're going this way. And so we were able to grow very quickly. So I think October will be this October was our 2 year that we've been here as Blue Cord Realty, and we're at about I think we're at about 1150
Wow.
in doors, and so it's just we've been very blessed and very lucky. But I also have the best staff on the planet, and they work really, really hard to communicate. And I think that's the difference between a good realtor and good property management is communication.
Mhm. What kind of systems and processes in the business did you have to implement in order to kind of grow it to this?
Well, we are still growing. It's a
Of
it's a
course.
funny thing. Oh yeah, it's like it's funny. You would think that once you had your systems down, that you would be good, right? So you got your leases, you got your property management, you've
Mhm.
got your vendors, you got it down. But as the world changes and people change, then you have to like adjust fire because Lord. And so it's funny because I literally been doing property management for 25 years. And this past 2 years, I think the learning curve has been more than it ever has been ever, which is really weird. And I don't know if it has to do with COVID or it has to do with just people in general. But we're finding that it's harder. Property management is harder now than it ever has been ever.
That's
Even
interesting.
when it's just it's really rewarding. However, I do want to say that. So, it's like I feel like if I get a really good tenant or I get somebody's really happy, it's like I won the lottery. I mean, that's what we're here for, right?
Mhm.
However, we do find that with this day and age and the way that things are, that there's a lot more unhappier people, not necessarily owners, but tenants. So, trying to think. Jennifer, Agent Invest. So I want to talk about them in relation to our company. So although our company stands alone, right? So if Agent Invest was to go away tomorrow, we would be really, really sad. I mean, it's a bulk of my business. It would be horrible. I would miss everyone terribly. Um, However, for those of you agents that are thinking about doing property management or switching from being a residential agent to an investor agent, hooking up with someone like Agent Invest is the way to go. And I'm not saying they're not paying me to say this, everybody. So when I first started this 2 years ago, I was like, how in the world am I ever going to grow a real estate company? We have about 40 agents. So how am I going to grow a real estate company, grow a property management company? We still have 5 kids, and it seems like the older they get, the more needier that they are. We got 5 grandkids that are like, grandma, 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 grandma all the time. And then, my husband, for those of you that know me from this, my husband has some health issues. So it's like, how in the world am I going to do this? And so even though I had 30 years of experience, Agent Invest was able to it was like getting the whipped cream and the cherry on the sundae. So it's like I had really great ice cream and I had really good hot fudge, like the best, right? But it was still missing something. And so Agent Invest, Jennifer in particular, was able to come in and she was able to help me fine tune this to where I don't have anybody in my property management but investors. And I know agents are going, what do you mean? If you have something in property management, then of course it's an investment, right? Not necessarily. So there's a big difference between an investor mindset and just someone who is buying a piece of property and can't sell it or can't
Right.
make the money that they want and therefore they're going to hold on to it. So Agent Invest taught me that you don't have to have everybody, that you don't have to have every single person that says I want to put my house in management, right? So when we go to interview, we're actually interviewing them as well. And so it's like, do you understand what it means to be an investor? Do you understand that that means that you have to put money in your property? Do you understand that, and so we go through this big huge thing, and if they don't have money, like, because one of the worst things about property management is somebody calls in and says, my HVAC unit is broken and I am freezing, right? And then you call the owner and the owner says, I'm so sorry, I don't have any money. I don't have
Oh
any
my
credit
gosh.
cards. All my credit cards are maxed out. I cannot get a loan. I've lost my job. I can't find my socks. The dog ran away. My wife left me. And it's like, what do you do? Right.
Wow.
So you got this tenant who literally, it's snowing here and it's 20 degrees and they are freezing. They can blow smoke in their, in their house. What do you do? Right. And what if you have lots of those? So what if you've built your property management on non-investor types, right? And you can grow them to be investors. That's our goal, right? We take the first one and then we teach them how to become investors. But what if you don't know how to do that? And then what if they don't want to be an investor? What if they're stuck here because they have to be? They really want to sell this house, right? And so Jennifer was able to help me. Like, I don't have one single non-investor in property management. What? I mean, not one. So if I call up and I say, hey, the HVAC unit isn't working, they're going to go get it fixed. And there's none of that, oh my God type deal. It's like, and so as you get older, I think emotion becomes like like real estate isn't emotional. Like when you buy a residential place and you go in there, it's like, oh my God, this is the place. I want to live here the rest of my life. This is my house, right? But for investors, they don't care about any of that. It is not their place. They don't care. They're looking at numbers and they're looking at, and they know that things are going to break and everything is a number. And so you don't spend as much time petting
Right.
as you do with residential. So residential, it's like you bought the house, and then that night you're giving them those, blue M&Ms, telling them to calm down. I know they didn't see every house in the entire world, but this is the right one. It has everything they need. Calm down. And then 2 days later, you're reselling them again on that same house, right? And you're making $3,000, let's say, and you're reselling them over and over. And then the home inspection, and now you're reselling them again. And that, I mean, the whole thing is one big resell residential. It is not that way for investors. And so what that means to you as an agent is that if you can make the transition from residential real estate to commercial real estate or multifamily real estate, investor real estate, you're going to have so much more time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I literally have enough time to do everything that I need to do and travel. And so, I have a staff. However, I can be laying at the pool at Jennifer's and somebody can call me and I can get on the computer and I can do whatever, or I can tell the staff to do whatever. And so it's become, even though it's huge now, it's become this thing that's manageable more or less for me, no matter where I'm at. I can be in Europe. I could be at the top of a Egyptian, pyramid, balancing on the top, going, okay, go ahead and order a new HVAC unit
Mm-hmm.
type deal. And so imagine if you're a residential agent and now you don't have to put people in your car, right? You don't have to drive people around anymore, right? Now all I do is I sit and I pop it in through there. I make sure that it works. I send it to you. It goes out. I got 20 people calling me about it. I don't have to get out of my seat. I write an offer. It gets accepted. If you align yourself with winners, which is what we've done with Agent Invest, then they know that our people always close
Mm-hmm.
and they're always qualified. So when they get an offer from us, they're like, yes, it's going to close. And even if ours is a little less, or, the concessions are more, 9 times out of 10, we get it. And then we move on. And so in the time that it takes a residential agent to write one deal, I may have wrote 3 or 4.
Right.
Because I don't have to get up. I don't have to do anything. I got to get up once, and that's to go do the big, huge, when we do all of the inspections and stuff.
Sure. I think a lot of what you said is why we're so compatible. It's why we work so well together. And that is that, we have our investor membership, and these investors pay for a membership and they really get so much. They get, private coaching, they get mentorship. So we really try and lead them on a path to figure out their criteria, get their systems in place and set up with lenders, legal, anything that they need really to become a successful investor. And so when they're coming to our agent referral partners like yourself, they are coming prepared. Many of
Yes.
them, they're supposed to come with their lending in place, and they might ask you a bunch of questions about your market, or about the deal, but everything else they really should kind of have pre-set up. And so they're coming to you ready. And with our agents like yourself, our investors are so dependent and reliant on our agent referral partners to have reliable property management, whether that is in-house like yours, or property managers that are agents that they know, that they've vetted, that they can rely on, because our investors, they're out of state, they don't live where you live. And so they're so reliant on our agents to, be trustworthy, to bring them deals that aren't filled with smoke and mirrors, that aren't that are actually good ones, and that they have run numbers on themselves prior to sending to us, and they have you know people that can do their roofs, and many of our investors are looking for deals that are value add, so they need those people and those boots on the ground teams, and they're so reliant on our agents to provide that. And I think that's why you work so well with us, is because you are trustworthy, and you have all of these fantastic teams in place, in a great market. I mean, Tennessee overall is fantastic. Clarksville is way up there, and such a great market to invest in.
Yeah. And, one of the things is that, and I want to make sure, so 100 years ago, and it's been a while. I mean, it's been a couple of years, but when you guys had boot camp, I did a lot of the training with Jennifer. We kind of tag teamed and all of that. And I want to tell you that, and I don't know if you guys are still doing that. I don't, I'm not sure, but I have to tell you that I watched Maria. I watched, God, there were so many that if you follow what you guys have developed, that you will be successful and you will make the transition. And it's like, that the big joke about analysis paralysis for investors. Okay. You have analysis paralysis for real estate agents.
For
And so
agents,
it's like,
absolutely.
just do it. And so it's like, people are, well, and the number one thing, it's like having an investor group, or surrounding yourself. So you always want to be the less educated, the most stupid, I guess, the least experienced. You always want to be that person in your group, right? So that way you are growing. And so when you become the smartest one in your group, then it's time to change groups. Okay, it's time to,
It's
because
true.
that means, yes, because that means that you're done growing, and
Yeah.
in that group you're done. And so one of the things is that a lot of the agents that were in these, they were afraid to fail. And so you fail, right? So the choices are is that you can jump out there and you can do something and maybe fail, or you
Mhm.
can not do something and for sure you will. So it's like lottery, right? If you don't buy a lottery ticket, there is a 100% chance that you're not going to win the lottery, right?
Yeah.
But if you just buy one little ticket, you might win it, maybe, right? There's a chance. It's that way with this. So here
Mhm.
it's like you just have to buy the ticket, but it doesn't really cost you anything, right? And
Mhm.
I can tell you this is that, I mean, unless I won the $1 billion lottery, I made my own lottery. I mean,
Mhm.
this is the lottery. In case you real estate agents out there don't know, investor clientele is the lottery. And so the amount of money and the amount of time that I have to spend really isn't that much. And the coolest part is it's not winning the lottery money wise, it's like winning the lottery in life. So you
Mhm.
are surrounded by Mariahs and Jennifers and, Jesse Kendras and Ender, you know, Chadha, and I mean, on and on. I mean, you could just go, and the things that you learn from these investors that actually have other jobs, and they're like, I mean, there's Jamel that's, a child anesthesiologist. I mean, the stuff I've learned from him about children and I mean, just, it's amazing. And so this particular job is probably the best job on the planet. And you will actually get to learn from your investors, and they're going to learn from you too, but you're going to learn
Yeah.
from them. It's awesome.
Yeah, our investors they're repeat customers, and that's why we like
Yeah.
to set up these relationships, is because we want them to keep buying from our agents and to keep coming back and wanting more in your market and wanting to work with them. And you're right, absolutely. There is an element of analysis paralysis, and we found that there was a lot of agents that come to us that want to be an agent referral partner. And the thing is that in order to do our investors a good service, our agent referral partners, they have to have some experience. They do have to have some deals closed with investors. They have to know how to run the numbers. They have to know how to find the deals. And we had so many agents coming to us that wanted to pivot and start working with investors, and we couldn't bring them on as agent referral partners. So we began the boot camp, and the boot camp is doing fantastic. We
Yep.
have many agents that have signed up and gone through. It's an online 3-week course, and it's all on your own time, but we teach everything about how to get started and build a business so that you can start working with investors, and then hopefully become an agent referral partner after you finish the course and close a few deals. So, it is such a fantastic thing. I'm glad you brought it up. And, the other thing I want to say is that we have, how many deals do you submit to us on a regular basis?
A lot.
A lot. Like,
A lot.
she is very consistent in finding deals and sending them in, because there are agent referral partners that, they'll send in one deal and then they'll reach out to me and say, hey, nobody called me. And then they'll get discouraged and not send in another deal or something. And they're, it takes repetition. You have to kind of build it as part of your business of look for the deals and send them out to us and to your own investor pools, and do it on a consistent basis in order to, be able to close those deals.
Yeah. So, I would say that being an investor agent is like advertising. So advertising is not one and done. So it's not like you get a billboard and suddenly you're it, right? So you're the bomb.com in Clarksville because you have a billboard, and now you don't have to do any other advertising and you're done, right? You get all the business. And that's not how advertising works. So
Right.
advertising is consistent, and it is constant, and it is, and it has to be lots of different things, right? So
Mhm.
you do TV, radio, billboards, social media, letters, being out in the public, whatever it is that you've got, and it is consistent. So today, if I was to talk to you, you may not be in the mood for a house, but tomorrow you may decide that you want one, and I happen to be there at this place where you are, and you're thinking, up Kelly, because I'm there all the time in your face, right? So that's what it's like for investors. So
Mhm.
investors, the more deals that you submit, then the more the investors are going to say, wow, she's got a lot of deals, or none of these are working. And I can't tell you, like, I send stuff that's like on the borderline, because Clarksville's kind of in a weird spot right now. But it's like, I don't want the investors to forget that we're alive, right?
Yeah.
And that we do have some deals. It works. And so we are constantly sending out stuff going, hey, remember us, remember us, remember us.
Yeah. Yeah, consistency really is
So, and
key. They're
that's the best
gonna
way to do it.
remember. Yeah, and I absolutely agree. They're gonna remember your face, they're gonna remember your market. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's got a lot going on. Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have any last advice, any last nuggets of advice for our agent audience?
The only thing that I want to say is that, the only way, the best, not the only way, but the best.
Oh, no, Kelly, we're losing you a little bit. You froze there. Um,
I can't say that my whole to do with her, but I can tell you that the end of my real estate career here now has to do with Agent Invest, and that they've given me an ability to heck, I don't even need any other stuff. You know what I mean? It's like as long as I'm turning into and I'm, still selling, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 things a month, even with a crappy market. So I just want sign up for Agent Invest, give it a shot, listen to Mariah, listen to Jennifer. And I know this was to be an advertisement for this, but I do want to tell you that, I teach here. So what we teach at Agent Invest, more or less. So we teach investor stuff and I teach residential stuff. And I can tell you this, 100% of my agents cap within 90 days here at this company because of the training. And it's the training that Agent Invest does as well. And so what if you will just make a commitment and do what they tell you and it becomes a habit, you're going to be a superstar. Seriously. So
Fantastic. And I will put all of the links for the boot camp and to be an agent referral partner, of course, in the comments. But it was so lovely to have you, Kelly.
thank you so
Really
much.
appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I don't know what's going on. I know today is the last day to buy the early bird tickets for
Our event.
for the event, and I'm going
Yes.
to be there. And I want to tell you, agents, go, 200 investors, buy tickets.
Yes, it's going to be a fantastic event for networking. And like Kelly
Yes.
said, she's going to be there. So buy your ticket. Make sure you get the early bird price today for our cash flow investing summit out in Tempe, Arizona in February, and come out and meet me and Kelly. We're going to be there. It's going to be amazing.
Great Mariah.
All right, Kelly. All right, agents, have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. Good seeing everybody.